Hello everyone, welcome to English session. Dear children, in today's class we're going to see a new chapter number 6, The Model Millionaire, written by Oscar Wilde. Glossary, the new words, as I always say, read out these words loudly along with the meaning. About the author, Oscar Wilde, 1854-1900. He was an Irish playwright. His famous works are like The Selfish Giant, The Happy Prince, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Characters: Hughie, the hero; Laura, the daughter of retired colonel; Alan, a famous painter; Baron Horsburgh, one of the richest men in Europe. So these are the characters which we'll see in this particular chapter. So let's start our lesson. The lover. Hughie S. Kent was a very good looking young man. He was liked and admired by both men and women. He never said an unkind word about anyone, but he was not very clever and never had any money. He was always changing his job and had tried everything. At one time, he had worked on the stock exchange, which had lasted for 6 months. He had been a tea merchant for a little longer than that, but soon got tired of selling tea. Then he tried selling sherry instead, but again he failed. At last he gave up trying to work and lived on £200 a year given to help by an old aunt. So now in this, when we read this particular paragraph, we understood that Hughie was a very handsome guy, and he was liked and appreciated and admired by both. Like even the men used to love like him, the way he used to dress up and the way he used to look, and even the women used to love. Okay, he was such a good man that he never used to say a single unkind word to anyone. Okay, but he was not a brave man or clever man, we can say. He was a poor guy who never had any money. Why he never had any money? Because he never used to stick to one work. He used to always changing his job. For example, sometimes some months he worked in a stock exchange, some months he worked as selling tea, some months he worked sherry instead, and again he failed. He was not interested to work, and that's how he decided not to do any job. So he left it and he was staying with his aunt, giving him some money. I'll just give Hughie's some characteristics. He was a handsome guy, good looking young man. He was kind hearted, he was honest. He didn't have any kind of profession. He was not professionally, he was not good in anything, and he wants to marry his girlfriend Laura. Paragraph 2. Now he was in love with a girl called Laura Baton, who was the daughter of retired colonel. Laura loved him very much, and together they made a handsome couple. Of course, neither of them had any money. The colonel, although he liked Hughie, would not allow them to get married. So now who is Miss Laura? So she was an obedient daughter. She acts to her father's wish, and she also wishes to marry Hughie. And here both of them want to marry each other. Okay, and now our character, our hero of this lesson, when he expressed about his love, both wanted to marry each other, but none of them had too much of money, right? So and colonel also wanted them to get married, but only when he'll start earning. Paragraph 3. Come to me, my boy, when you have got 10,000 pounds of your own, and we will see about it. He would say. Poor Hughie, he was very miserable. So, the retired colonel was very strict. He likes Hughie, but he demands money. because he cares about daughter's future. So he said he used to like Huey, and he said, see, if you earn 10,000 pounds by yourself, then I will think about your marriage. So poor Huey, when he heard of this, he was very much upset, because we know the Huey was not clever, he was not doing any job, he was jobless. So he felt miserable, or he was upset by listening to Colonel. Paragraph 4. One morning, on his way to see Laura, Huey called in to see a friend of his who lived quite near. His friend's name was Alan Trevor, and Trevor was a painter. He was a strange man with a red beard. However, he was a very clever artist, and many people bought his paintings. When Huey came in, he found Alan finishing the full-size picture of a beggar man. The beggar himself was standing on a raised platform in a corner of the room. He was an old man, bent and wrinkled, with a piteous look on his face. Over his shoulder, he had a ragged brown coat, all torn and dirty. His thick boots were patched and well worn, and with one hand he leaned on a rough stick. In the other hand, he held out a hat for money. "What a wonderful model," whispered Huey, as he shook hands with his friend. "A wonderful model," shouted Trevor at the top of his voice. "I should think so. You won't meet a beggar like him every day." "Poor man," said Huey. How miserable he looks." In this paragraph, we see introduction of his friend Alan, who was a painter, and he was a very clever artist. Okay, and he used to paint that everybody used to buy that painting. So one day when he was on the way to see Laura, he got a call from his friend who lived nearby, and he went to see him. And then the Alan was busy in painting a picture, a full-size picture is about to get over, and the picture was about a beggar man. So he saw the model there. He was an old beggar, he was an old man. Okay, he was bent, he had a wrinkle on his face, and he looks very very sad, very upset, very pity from on his face. Okay, and on the shoulder, the coat was bit torn off. Okay, and he wore all dirty and all torn off clothes. His thick boots were patched. Okay, all was broken, all was torn. And he said to Alan that what a wonderful model. So Alan said to Huey that you shouldn't say that, I have to say that whether he's a wonderful model or not. And why did he say? Because Alan said to Huey that you don't meet a beggar like this every day, right? Then he said, yes, I won't meet, but he is so miserable. Ninth paragraph. Of course, replied Trevor. You don't want a beggar to look happy, do you? How much does a model get for a city? Asked Huey. 10 pence an hour. And how much do you get for your picture, Alan? Oh, for this I get 2,000 pounds. Well, I think the model should get some part of that, cried Huey, laughing. He is working quite as hard as you. Nonsense, nonsense. Why, look at all the troubles of putting on the paint and standing up all day. It's not easy work, I can tell you. Now do stop talking. I'm very busy. Smoke a cigarette and keep quiet. So here, now there's a conversation between the Alan and the Huey. So he asked that how much you're going to pay for a model. So he said, it's a 1 pence, right? 10 pence an hour, 10 pence an hour. And Huey asked how much you will get. So he said, maybe I'll get, if I sell this picture, maybe I'll get 2,000 pounds. So Huey said, so I think you should give more to the model, okay, because he's standing there the whole day and you are doing the work. So Alan said, do you think it's a joke? So hard, he just sit in one place, but I have to get all, I have to draw, I have to get all together and draw a beautiful picture. So now you stop talking to me, you go and smoke your cigarette and you be quiet. The model, paragraph number 15. After some time, a servant came to tell Trevor that the frame maker wanted to speak to him. Don't go away, Huey, he said as he went out. I'll be back in a moment. The old beggar man sat down on a wooden seat that was behind him. He looked so lonely and sad that Huey could not help feeling sorry for him. He felt in his pocket to see what money he had. All all he could find some of Sovietian. Poor man, he thought. He needs it more than I do. And he walked across the room and slipped the sovereign into the beggar's hand. The old man jumped and faint a smile crossed his lips. Thank you, sir, he said. Thank you. So now in this paragraph we have learned about the model. So when Alan was drawing, he got a servant came and he asked him that the frame maker, because for the painting we want the frame, right? For the frame maker, a frame maker had wanted to speak to you. So Alan said to Huey, "Don't go anywhere. Be here. I'll be back." And now, model, as he got up from his position, he sat down in the same place. And when Huey saw him, he felt that he's feeling lonely, okay, and he's upset. He feels sad. So he wanted to help him. So he checked his pocket and he found some money. He took that money in his hand and he said, "More than me, I think more than me, this man required this money." And he went near to the model. He gave that money to him, and the beggar took that money and he said, "Thank you, sir, thank you," and he gave a smile. Paragraph 21. Then Travel arrived. The Huey said goodbye and he left, feeling a little silly at what he had done. That night, he went to the Palette Club at about 11 o'clock and found Alan having a drink by himself. "Well, Alan, did you get the picture finished all right?" he asked as he lit a cigarette. "Finished and framed, my boy," answered Alan, "and you might like to know the old model you saw likes you very much. I had to tell him about you. Who are you? Where are you live? How much you earn? And what are you going to do in future?" "My dear Alan," cried Huey, "I shall probably find him at home, waiting for me. But of course you are only joking. Poor old thing. I wish I could do something for him. I think it's dreadful that anyone should be so miserable. I have got heaps of old clothes at home. Do you think he would like any of them? Why, his bags were falling to bits." So now here we see that Alan and Huey has met in a pub, okay, and he was having a drink. So Huey went there, and he asked casually, "Have you finished your painting? How was the painting? Have you finished your work?" So he said, "It's all done. It's already finished, and it's framed off." And he said, "You know what? The old beggar was asking about you. So I have to tell him about you, like what you do, where do you stay, how much you earn, and what is your future plan." So that Huey, he said, he looked so uh, miserable, right? He's so alone. I want to do something for him. In my place, I have old clothes. Do you think that this old beggar will like some of my clothes which I am not using, or this is a way I can help the old beggar? What do you say?" So this is the conversation between the Huey and the Alan. 26. "But he looks so wonderful in them," said Trevor. "I wouldn't paint him in a good suit for anything. However, I will tell him of your offer. And now tell me, how is Laura?" The old model was quite interested in her. "You don't mean to say you talked to him about her too?" cried Huey. "Certainly I did. He know all about the Colonel, the lovely Laura, and the 10,000 pounds." So now here this speaks again about the old man, and he said, "See, he's an old man, an old beggar, and I can't paint him on in a suit, right? So now forget about it. Now tell me, how is your girlfriend?" The girlfriend is Laura, and what is happening? And he says, "You know what? The old model was quite interested in her." So now Hugh said to Alan, "I hope you didn't tell about her." So Alan said, "No, I have told everything about Laura, about the 10,000 pounds condition, that her dad asked you to earn 10,000 rupees by your own, and so that you can get married to Laura. So I have told everything in detail. The surprise, 29th paragraph. You told that old beggar all about me? Cried Hughie, looking very red and angry. My dear boy, said Alan, smiling, the old beggar, as you call him, is one of the richest men in Europe. He could buy all London tomorrow and never miss the money. He has a house in every capital city, eats off gold plates, and can prevent Russia going to war when he chooses. What on earth do you mean? Exclaimed Hughie. What I say, said Alan. The old man you saw today was Baron Horsburgh. He is a great friend of mine, buys all my pictures and that sort of thing. He asked me a month ago to paint him as a beggar, and since he is paying, well, I could not refuse. I must say, I think he made a splendid model. Baron Horsburgh, cried Hughie. Good heavens! I gave him a sovereign. Gave him sovereign? Shouted Alan, and he burst into roar of laughter. The surprise was, you can see in picture, the old beggar is sitting, right? But behind that, what can you see? You can see a richest man, and that's a surprise. Now, the Alan tells about the old beggar. He says, the person whom you're calling as the old beggar, he's not the old beggar. He is the richest man, okay? And he buys all of my painting, and if he can even buy tomorrow the whole London, okay? And he has a house in every city, every place he had a city. He has a house, and he eats often enough gold plates, okay? And he can do everything. He's just the richest person. And he says, and Alan is continuing, and his name is Baron Horsburgh. He's a great friend of mine, okay? And he asked me a month before that paint him as a beggar, and I have painted him because he had paid me money. Now here poor Hughie was upset, and he said, he's the richest man, Baron Horsburgh, but I have given him a sovereign. And now when Alan heard about sovereign, he was laughing on the Hughie, saying that how could you give a sovereign to the richest person? So this is the surprise to the Hughie. Paragraph 33. I think you might have told me, Alan, said Hughie crossly, and not let me make such a fool of myself. Well, to begin with, Hughie, said Trevor, I didn't think that you went around giving away your money in that way. And really, when you came in, I didn't know if Horsburgh would like his name mentioned. What a duffer he must think me, said Hughie. Not at all. He was very happy. After you left, he kept laughing to himself and rubbing his old hands together. I couldn't understand why he was so interested in you at the time, but I see it all now. He will invest your sovereign for you, Hughie, and pay you the interest every 6 months. He will also have a good story to tell his friends after dinner. Hughie walked home feeling very unhappy and leaving Trevor laughing loudly. Now here, Alan was saying that how would I know? No, here you said, you won't tell me, right, that the old beggar man is not a real old beggar. He is a richest person. And then Alan said, how would I know that you will go to the beggar and will give him your money, whatever you had? And how would I know, right? And even if I mention his name, that the old beggar is not the old beggar, but he is a Horsburgh, I think he will not like it. So I didn't tell you. So he was feeling like, I don't know now what this Baron was thinking about me. I don't know what he must be thinking about me, how duffer I am. So that Alan says, not at all. He didn't think you duffer, but he was very much happy, and he was laughing to himself. He's rubbing his old hands. And I didn't understand that time that why he was interested in you so much, but now I came to know. So don't worry, your sovereign, he will invest and he will give you the interest every 6 months. And I think he have a good story to tell to his friend. That is Baron have a story about Hughie to tell to your friends that some person has mistaken me as a beggar, and he has given me money. And here Hughie felt unhappy and he left, and Alan was laughing at him. The Messenger, paragraph 38. The next morning, as he was eating his breakfast, his servant brought in a card on which was written, Mr. Gustava Nordin, messenger of Baron Habsburg. I suppose he has come for an apology, said Huey to himself, and he told the servant to show his visitor in. An old gentleman with gold spectacles and grey hair came into the room and said with a French accent, Do I have honor of speaking to Mr. Askin? Huey bowed. So next morning, what happened when this Alan was when this Hugh was having breakfast? That time, a messenger came to him, and he just came inside and he said in a French accent that I am. Can I speak to Mr. Huey? And Huey has bowed down to him because he is a messenger. He is a messenger who came from Baron Habsburg, and he thought like maybe he will make Huey to ask a apology. So when he came inside, okay, and Mr. Huey has bowed down. Paragraph 41. I have come from Baron Habsburg, he continued, the Baron. I ask, sir, that you will offer him my sincerest apology, cried Huey. The Baron, said the old gentleman with a smile, has asked me to bring you this letter, and he held out a sealed envelope. On the outside was written, a wedding present to Hugh and Laura Martin from an old beggar, and inside was check for £10,000, the wedding. When they were married, Alan there was the best man, and the Baron made a speech at the wedding breakfast. Millennium models, remarked Alan, are rare enough, but model millennials are rarer still. So now here he introduced that I have come from, the messenger have come from the Baron Habsburg, and Alan and Hugh said, "I'm sorry, it's my mistake. I have done a mistake. I'm really sorry." So here the messenger says that I have come here to give this letter to you, sir. This letter was sealed, and on the envelope it was written, a wedding present to Huey and Laura. And when he opened that, he found £10,000. Okay, this is the help from the beggar. And now the wedding. During the wedding time, the best man was Alan, and Baron made a speech on the wedding breakfast, saying that millennial models, remarked Alan, are rare enough, but model millennials are rarer. He says that there are so many millennials are there, okay, but the models as a millennial are rarer. So that is how the Laura and Huey got married, and that is how the old beggar have helped Huey to get married to Laura. Dear children, so as we have completed our lesson, modern millennia, it was quite funny, right? So I hope you enjoy this lesson. Thank you. See you in next class.